I want you to picture, just for a second, the absolute front line against global terrorism. What exactly comes to mind?
I mean, most people are probably picturing soldiers in tactical gear, right? Or maybe, intelligence agents operating in the shadows of some far-off capital.
Exactly. Listening to intercepted radio chatter, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But today, we're taking you to a much quieter, yet, I would argue, completely critical battlefield.
Yeah, there is absolutely no camouflage here.
Right. We are talking about spreadsheets, regulatory frameworks, the glow of a computer monitor in a banking compliance department on a random Tuesday afternoon.
It is a really profound shift in perspective, isn't it? When we think of stopping dangerous organizations, we rarely think of the financial analyst tracking ledger entries.
No, not at all.
But choking off the money supply is quite literally how you stop these operations in their tracks. Without capital, a global network is just, well, it's just a group of people with bad intentions and no means to execute them.
Just sitting around talking.
Right. It is a highly structured, incredibly intense discipline, and it requires a deep understanding of human psychology, the massive web of global trade, and honestly, the mathematics of risk.
Yeah.
This isn't just about catching bad guys. It is about outsmarting them on a global financial chessboard.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission right now is to uncover exactly how these financial professionals are trained to do this. How do you find the money that really dangerous people are trying so hard to hide?
It's a huge question.
It is. And to figure this out, we are looking at a very specific, fascinating source today. It's the actual curriculum and program details for the ICA Specialist Certificate in Combating the Financing of Terrorism.
And just to clarify up top, ICA stands for the International Compliance Association.
Right, thank you. And this specific program is their Level 2 specialist qualification.
Yeah, and looking at a syllabus like this, it gives us a really rare window into the minds of the people building our financial defenses. The stakes are spelled out right there in the curriculum.
Yeah, they really are.
We aren't looking at generic accounting principles here. We are looking at a battle plan for global financial security.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first thing this course dives into isn't banking regulations or accounting software at all.
No, it's not.
It actually starts with a module titled Terrorist Motivations Funding Explored.
Which is so interesting.
Right. Before you can track a single dollar or euro or crypto token, you have to understand the minds of the perpetrators. You have to understand why the money is moving in the first place.
Exactly.
The course specifically trains these analysts to examine the key motivating factors and ideologies that drive different groups.
Which might seem, I don't know, entirely counterintuitive to someone outside the industry. You might think, like, just follow the money. Why does their ideology even matter? A dollar is a dollar.
Right, but think of it like a dark, twisted version of venture capital.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the legitimate business world, a tech startup needs seed money to hit very specific milestones. They need capital to hire coders, rent servers, build a prototype.
Sure. And the venture capital investors know exactly what the money is meant to achieve, and they can track the spending against that business plan.
Right.
In this shadow economy, terrorists need funds to advance their specific goals and objectives. The ideology is basically their business plan. So, my question for you is, how does understanding a specific ideology actually help a financial analyst find hidden money?
What's fascinating here is that money trails are never truly random. They are dictated by the objective.
Okay.
By understanding a group's specific ideology, financial investigators can predict how they will attempt to raise capital and exactly what they intend to buy with it.
Give me an example of that.
Let's look at a hypothetical scenario. A group motivated by localized territorial control, say like a regional insurgency, is going to have a completely different financial footprint than a decentralized global network focused on large-scale apocalyptic disruption.
Ah, okay. So the localized group is probably going to be highly cash dependent.
They might be, extorting local businesses, setting up illegal roadblocks, or smuggling regional goods across a nearby border. Their financial footprint is muddy, physical, and highly concentrated in one geographic area.
Right, and to take that a step further, because their goals are local, their spending is local, they need to buy food, fuel, and small arms for their fighters.
Makes sense.
The decentralized global network, on the other hand, operates completely differently. They don't hold territory. They are trying to fund highly coordinated, spectacular attacks across continents.
Which means they aren't relying on a local shakedown.
No, not at all.
They are probably manipulating international wire transfers, setting up shell companies, or maybe moving value through decentralized cryptocurrency networks.
And that is the exact applied psychology the ICA curriculum is teaching. If you know the why, well, the how and the where start to come into focus.
You aren't just looking blindly.
Exactly. You stop looking for every needle in the haystack and start looking at the specific corner of the haystack where that particular group likes to hide its needles.
That's a great way to put it.
A lone wolf attacker might self-fund through a credit card, bust out, maxing out cards they never intend to pay off, while a sophisticated state-sponsored proxy group requires a massive, continuous supply chain funded through complex, trade-based money laundering.
The ideology dictates the ledger.
Bingo.
So if you know the ideology and you know what they want to buy, how do you actually spot a needle in the haystack of a trillion-dollar global economy?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
I mean, every single second, millions of transactions are firing across the globe. That brings us to the physical reality of the global CFT environment, and CFT standing for combating the financing of terrorism.
The syllabus focuses heavily on this intersection. This is where those theoretical motivations slam into the massive, really noisy machinery of global trade.
Right.
The course highlights sources of financing, what they call red flag indicators, and proliferation issues.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the course materials specifically highlight two things under proliferation issues: dual-use goods and WMD.
WMDs.
WMD, as in weapons of mass destruction. But I really want to focus on that phrase dual-use goods for a second.
Okay.
Wait, does this mean financial analysts aren't just looking for obvious, cinematic, black market weapons deals? Like, are they actually tracking completely normal, everyday purchases that could just be repurposed for something devastating?
That is the terrifying reality, yes.
Yeah.
And it is what makes the global CFT environment so incredibly complex to monitor.
I can't even imagine.
A dual-use good is an item that has a totally legitimate, entirely legal commercial purpose, but can be weaponized if it falls into the wrong hands.
Like what?
We are talking about things like certain chemicals used in agriculture, electronics used in standard medical equipment, or specific types of heavy industrial machinery.
Wow. I want to pause on that for a second to really ground this for you listening. Think about the last time your bank flagged a $50 purchase because you were, I don't know, out of state and your card got declined at a gas station.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. Now imagine that same banking system, but instead of catching a weird gas station charge, the algorithm is trying to catch a shell company buying 3 tons of ammonium nitrate.
It's a completely different scale.
A bank processing a payment for a massive shipment of fertilizer has to somehow know if that fertilizer is going to a commercial farm or to someone building an explosive device.
And that gets to the absolute heart of what a red flag indicator actually is. You are looking for anomalies in seemingly normal commercial behavior.
Okay.
And criminals use a technique called layering to hide those anomalies.
Layering, like putting transactions inside of transactions.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It is the process of obfuscation. Criminals need to break the link between the legitimate origin of a product and the illegitimate destination. So they use complex routing.
Okay, walk me through that.
If a buyer in a high-risk jurisdiction wants that ammonium nitrate, they won't buy it directly. They will use a shell company in a neutral country to make the purchase.
Right.
Then they'll route the shipment through a port in a second country and pay for it using a bank account in a third country.
Oh, man. So the analyst reviewing the bill of lading and the wire transfer has to look at that entire web and ask, does this make any logical commercial sense?
Exactly the right question.
Yeah.
Is the buyer paying well above a market rate just to get the deal done quickly?
Right. Why would a normal business do that?
Exactly. Or is the routing of the shipment unnecessarily complex, adding massive shipping costs that destroy any profit margin?
Yeah.
Does the buyer's geographical location even make sense for the product? I mean, if a company registered in a tiny landlocked nation with no agricultural industry is suddenly buying massive industrial crop sprayers.
That is a glaring red flag.
Precisely. The analyst has to see the invisible context around a mundane transaction.
And the inclusion of WMDs in the same module that just stops you in your tracks.
It really does.
Because we aren't just talking about a localized explosive device. We are talking about the financing of nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons.
It underscores why preventing this specific type of funding makes this work a zero-fail mission. You literally cannot afford to let a single transaction slip through if the end result is the proliferation of a weapon of mass destruction.
No room for error.
None. The materials required for WMDs are often highly specialized dual-use goods. Tracking the money that buys those goods is, in many cases, the only early warning system the world has.
Which brings up a really uncomfortable point. The stakes of missing a WMD transaction are impossibly high. But we just established that they are hiding these transactions inside the noisy trillion-dollar global economy using shell companies and complex layering.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on a lone analyst having a gut feeling or making a lucky guess on a Tuesday.
No, you absolutely cannot. The system would collapse in a day if it relied purely on individual intuition. You have to build a system that can withstand human error, fatigue, and the sheer overwhelming scale of global trade.
And that leads into the core defense strategy taught in the course, mitigation. The syllabus outlines international and regional legislative frameworks, risk management, and learning a risk-based approach.
Right.
But there is one module title here that just gave me a chill when I read it. It's simply called When Things Go Wrong.
It's ominous.
I mean, I shudder at that phrase. In most online courses, when things go wrong means you failed a quiz and have to retake it. In a CFT course, failing implies catastrophic, real-world consequences.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, a fundamental truth of the financial system is that no firm, no bank, no government agency can monitor every single cent perfectly.
It's just too much.
It is a mathematical impossibility. The data volume is too vast. So the risk-based approach is how firms avoid spreading themselves too thin. It is a framework for prioritizing the most severe threats.
So instead of treating, say, a $10 Venmo transfer between two college students with the same scrutiny as a $10 million corporate wire transfer involving a high-risk jurisdiction.
Right. You focus your computing power and human resources where the red flags are statistically most likely to cluster.
That makes total sense.
That is the essence of it. You build your defenses disproportionately thick around your highest vulnerabilities. And that ties directly into the when things go wrong module.
How so?
Well, that section isn't about wallowing in despair over past tragedies. It is about dissecting systemic failures. When a massive illicit funding network is uncovered after the fact, analysts have to deconstruct exactly how the money moved.
Like a postmortem.
Exactly. Where did the risk-based approach fail? Which red flags were ignored?
It makes me think of an immune system. When a new virus attacks the body, the immune system might not catch it immediately.
Well, that's a good analogy.
But once the threat is identified, the body studies it, maps the virus's structure, and creates specific antibodies so that exact same infection can never breach the defenses again. They are ensuring that these regulatory frameworks aren't just stagnant bureaucratic paperwork, but an active, evolving shield.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it. The regulations and the compliance algorithms are essentially the antibodies, written in the ink of past failures.
So who exactly is managing this immune system? Now that we understand the immense weight and gravity of what is actually being taught, we have to look at the people who are voluntarily stepping up to learn these skills. Who takes this ICA course?
The target audience listed for this special certificate includes officers, analysts, specialists, investigators, managers, and leaders who work to combat the financing of terrorism.
Okay.
These are the frontline workers in the financial sector,
Yeah.
the people sitting at those monitors we talked about at the very beginning.
So what does this all mean? Let's talk about the logistics of how they actually get this credential, because, quite frankly, it shocked me.
Yeah, the numbers are surprising.
This certification is awarded in association with Alliance Manchester Business School at the University of Manchester, which obviously carries a lot of prestige. It provides 20 ICA continuing professional development hours. But the structure is what gets me. It is completely self-paced online. You have access for 2 months, but the course can be completed in as little as 4 weeks. And the final assessment. It is a 1-hour online multiple-choice exam.
It is explicitly designed for professionals who are already working in the field, who need to upskill efficiently without stepping away from their high-pressure daily roles.
Let me push back on this, though, because I am looking at this juxtaposition and struggling to process it.
Fair enough.
You are learning to combat the financing of weapons of mass destruction. You are dissecting the ideology of global terror networks. You are learning the intricacies of trade-based money laundering and spotting dual-use goods hidden in massive supply chains.
Yeah.
In a self-paced course, you can knock out in 4 weeks. Wait, a 1-hour multiple-choice test to stop weapons of mass destruction. How on earth is that rigorous enough?
This raises an important question, and it is exactly the right reaction to have when you look at those numbers in isolation.
Okay, so what am I missing?
But what stands out to you when you look at the broader package here? There is a substantial financial investment to take this course. It's around 949 US dollars. But part of that cost includes a mandatory 12-month ICA membership, which is another $241.
Oh, right.
What is the actual product being delivered beyond the 1-hour exam?
Okay, looking closer at the materials, it seems like the product isn't just the certificate at the end, it's the access. Joining this gives them access to an international community of over 30,000 members.
Yes.
They get access to the ICA Learning Hub and weekly webinars covering the latest industry developments.
And that is the crucial missing piece of the puzzle. The 1-hour exam isn't the end of the line. It is just the price of admission.
Ah.
This isn't a one-off university class where you memorize a textbook, pass a final, and never think about it again. It is an entry point into a continuous ecosystem. The source material highlights a feature called ICA Continuous Competence, which involves ongoing adaptive learning and real-time competency assessments.
Because the criminals aren't reading textbooks from 10 years ago. They are finding new loopholes today.
Exactly. The financial crime landscape shifts daily. A new international sanction is passed on a Monday, and by Tuesday afternoon, the illicit networks have pivoted to a new vulnerability.
Wow.
They're utilizing a different type of shell company or a new decentralized finance protocol. A static textbook is completely useless in this industry. The contemporary issues mentioned in the courses, testimonials require constant, real-time adaptation.
So that's where the community comes in.
That community of 30,000 members and those weekly webinars are essential because the front line is constantly moving. The 4-week course just gives you the baseline vocabulary to understand the real-time intelligence coming through that network.
It's an arms race, but fought with ledgers, algorithms, and compliance frameworks.
Absolutely.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today. We started by diving into the psychological motivations of dangerous organizations, dissecting how their specific ideologies, whether local or global, dictate their financial needs and their footprints.
Right.
We moved into the incredibly complex global marketplace, looking at the terrifying reality of tracking dual-use goods through layers of obfuscation to prevent the funding of WMDs.
And we saw how the financial industry attempts to mitigate these massive threats through a rigorous risk-based approach, studying the systemic failures, the moments when things go wrong, to build stronger, more resilient antibodies for the financial system's future.
And finally, we looked at the army of analysts taking on this burden. The investigators and managers completing intensive corporate-style courses, not to just get a grade, but to tap into a global network of 30,000 peers to stay continuously sharp.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
It completely reframes how you look at the banking sector, and it certainly changes how I'll think about my bank flagging a random Tuesday purchase.
It changes the entire paradigm. I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building entirely on this concept of continuous competence that we just discussed.
No.
The curriculum makes it exceedingly clear that this training requires weekly webinars, real-time competency assessments, and constantly updated modules just to deal with contemporary issues.
Right.
If the highly trained, incredibly smart professionals fighting financial crime require this massive level of constant adaptive learning just to stay certified and keep their heads above water,
Yeah.
imagine the terrifying speed and sophistication at which the illicit financial networks themselves must be mutating right now in the shadows.
Wow. That is a deeply sobering thought. The frontline truly never sleeps. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the hidden systems that shape our world. We'll catch you next time.